So I'm not someone who looks at Facebook, the Facebook profiles of you know, exes or whatever. I'm not someone who does that, because I'm just like, why would I do that to myself? Since we broke up, I've looked at Abrams twice. The first time because I knew at some point soon he was going to get engaged, and I wanted to know when, because I knew he would change his profile picture to, you know, an engagement picture. And that was because, you know, just for anybody who's watching, this guy and I were very much in love, but because of culture and family, we couldn't be together, and he had to go. His mother wanted him to get married, and she was bugging him literally every day for the entire 4 years that we were together. So he knew that he had to do this because his mother wasn't feeling well, and you know, she was getting old, and her thing was, you got to get married before I die, you got to get married before I die. So anyway, we had to break up, and I knew he'd be getting engaged soon. He got engaged, and when I looked at his Facebook profile, he had just gotten engaged like a few days before. And there was a picture of him and her, and the woman was the same woman that he broke up with so he could continue to be with me. I guess she'd waited around for 4 years, 3 years, whatever it was, 3.5, 4 years. Anyway, that broke my heart. You know, I mean, I knew it was coming, and I knew it had to, and, you know, the relationship I knew the entire time, except for a couple of times when, oh, this hurts, a couple of times when he fooled himself into thinking that he'd actually tell his parents or tell his mother that we could actually be together. Other than that, he'd always tell me, like, this, you know, this isn't gonna work out. Like, I love you, and, you know, not, this isn't, just like, we can't be married, basically. And there a bunch of, you know, the entire time I was like, why can't you tell your parents? But, you know, it doesn't make any sense. So why should they decide who you marry? You know, it's like, it's your life. They don't have to live the life that, you know, they don't have to live your life. You know, your mom's gonna be in Egypt, you're literally halfway around the world, so you get married, and she's happy, but then you have to live with this person. And anyway, and he's like, oh, she just wants me to be happy. And it's like, well, she only wants you to be happy in the way that she wants you to be happy in. And he's like, well, yeah. And I was like, well, that's pretty conditional. That love is pretty conditional love. But it's what happened. And it was, I mean, we knew it all along. He knew it all along. I pretended that it might change, or it might be different. So, you know, that was back in January that I looked, and he was engaged. And I was like, you know, he'll be getting married soon. I thought maybe it would be a year, because that's usually what they do. It's like, get engaged, leave for a year, and talk on the phone for a year, just to make sure they can. So, but I thought, you know, they'd known each other before, so they must, you know, they're probably gonna do it in the summertime. So I've been like, I don't want to know. This morning, I've been thinking about him a lot lately. The other day I had a meltdown about him. Because I really do still miss him. Anyway, I looked at his Facebook page, and there wasn't a picture of their wedding. But I scrolled down a little. You know, I had written his name, and, well, you know, typed in his name, and I scrolled down, like, and it was there. The wedding album was there. They got married 2 weeks ago. And he looks really happy. And I'm really happy that that's the case. Most of me wants him to be very, very happy. You know, there's that part of me that's like feeling slightly angry, a little bit resentful and vindictive, but for the most part, I just want him to be happy. It's so hard to accept I'm feeling this pain. Let's see, will this stay if I do this? Not really, huh? Alright, well, whatever. I'm feeling this pain that's, obviously in my heart, like, around here. And I'm having these memories that are so sharp and clear, and it's been almost a year since the last time I saw him. A year and a half since we broke up. And, you know, we broke up in February of last year. And we would still, I would still go down there, and I'd stay there for like 3 weeks at a time. Until finally, it was just like, I gotta stop going down there. And then, I don't know, the universe worked it out perfectly. Like, really did. In the way that was best for me and for him. But it still really sucks. And the memories I have of us being together are so crystal clear and sharp. It's like it's happening right now, only it's not. Like, I can picture where we lived. I can picture all the things we used to do together. All the things we used to do together. And it's so real in my mind. But it's not real. And the person I knew then isn't the person that he is now. I mean, I'm sure he's still just as wonderful. But back then, he was mine. We were together. And that's in the past. And now he's married. And he looks happy and in love. And it seems like he really is in love. And I'm very grateful for that. That's what I've been praying for. It still hurts. So I wanted to come on and talk a little bit about that. I just spent a long time crying. And I mean crying, wailing, keening. But I wanted to come on and talk about it because, we all go through these things, even though they feel like no one else has ever felt like this before, and all the typical breakup feelings, like, oh, I'm never gonna find anybody again. Not that I really, honestly, my feelings about, it's like stabs every once in a while, but my feelings about finding someone else is like, I don't want to, not just because like, oh, I don't want to because it's not him. I don't want to because I don't want to come into another relationship from a place of need. I want to come into it from a place of being whole and being fine on my own and happy, feeling connected and free, and freeing myself of all these, or as many of these blocks as I can, so that I'm good. Because the thing is, if you're not good without somebody, you're never gonna be good with them. Like, if you're not fine by yourself, you're never gonna be fine with someone else. The only thing you can do is like patch up some holes. It's very conditional. It's actually quite, as much as you love the person, it can be selfish. Because you love them because of the way they make you feel. But I loved him for him. And he loved me for me. Oh, that was so awesome. I loved him for him, though. I really did. So, I just want to talk about how to deal with it, right? Found out, and it kind of struck me, not as badly as I thought it was going to, because I knew it was going to happen, right? Not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Seeing the picture of him in his tuxedo and standing next to his wife. In her wedding dress. Video of them dancing. They look very happy, and I'm glad. I'm glad for that. So, it struck me, and, you know, it's like, part of it, there's relief, in a way, because there's no chance he's coming back. You know, before we had this relationship, when we were together, were several times it was like, okay, we gotta break up. And then it would be like, he would be like, no, I don't want to break up. I don't want to be without you. Can I put this up here like that? Will it stay? All right. You know, so we wouldn't, and he would always come back. So I felt like that was, you know, part of me thought that was what was going to happen again. Even after it had been a year. You know what I mean? Even all this time. Even after I found out he was engaged, part of me was like, well, no, you know, I mean, like, logically, there is absolutely no way he'd get out of that, except if she decided to break up with him. And it was like, there's no way she's going to break up with him. None. You know? Like, none. He's A, he's too wonderful, and B, he's a ticket to America, right? So either way. But this was like, boom. Case closed. Not case closed, like a tomb closed, right? A tomb closed on our relationship. Of course, it had closed for him months and months and months ago. So, so what I'm doing is I'm allowing myself to feel it. And it's hard because I want to stuff it down. I don't want to feel it. I want to push it away. But that just makes it worse. But it fucking hurts, let me tell you. I just spent, like, I don't know, an hour bawling my eyes out. Just bawling, sobbing, just, like, screaming. Thinking of all these emotions, thinking of all these moments together that were beautiful. Because honestly, like, just about every moment we had together was beautiful. People are like, oh, you know, you're romanticizing the past. It's like, no, I'm not. Like, these are the things that I was saying while we were together. You know? Oh, I loved him so much. And he's married to someone else. And the thing is, we both got so much from the relationship. It changed us both for the better so much. It made us both so happy. And it gave us both so much. Like, I learned what it was like to be loved unconditionally for who I am. And he took care of me. And it made me realize that I'm never going to let another man treat me the way I've let men treat me. Like, this is what I want. So, at least that. There's so much about it that was good, and it was supposed to end. Obviously. I mean, this is what it's supposed to be. This beautiful thing that happened. During it, though, it was just like, we knew we had to break up, but it was always someday. You know? Never right now. Until it was right now. And now it's then. There's this feeling of emptiness. like this column, like a steel rod of emptiness, like from here down to through my chest. And then there's a lot of pain in my chest, my heart. And I'm hungry, but I don't feel like I'm eating anything ever again. So at least I'll lose some weight, right? The last time this happened with him and I, well, it happened a little bit last time we broke up, but the time before that, we'd been dating for a few months, like 6 months, more casually than anything else, but having a great time. And then he went home to Egypt for 3 weeks. And his parents had been bothering him so much every day. You need to get married before we die. You need to get married before we die. And he went home and they really pressured him to get engaged. So he got engaged after meeting a woman twice. And I know that's the culture, but seriously. Yeah, there's some anger. There is some anger at the culture, not at him. At the whole situation, at his mother. Like, we lived together for 3.5 years. We knew that we'd be good together. They knew each other twice. They'd met twice and they got engaged. Anyway, he came back here and we worked together, so we couldn't not see each other, and we ended up hanging out and staying together for getting back together for a few months, but both of us were so miserable because we felt so bad about it. So finally I said to him, like, look, we're both, I was the one who said it, like, we're both miserable. This has to end. This is too painful. Let's just take this one weekend and it'll be over. And he's like, but it's never over. And I'm like, look, I've made 2 dates for next week. I've been on, Match.com or whatever it was. I've made 2 dates. It is over. I'm going to start going out with other people. You're engaged. I'm going to go out with other people. He's like, all right. So we had this really, really wonderful weekend together. I took him down to Plymouth Plantation where I knew that he was going to love it. This was a little bit calculated on my part. We had a really wonderful time. We walked out onto the jetty in Plymouth Harbor and we sat down and it was twilight. Then it became night, and we're looking up at the night sky, and we had this night sky app, and we're looking up and identifying the stars, and we realized that, like, 7 out of the 9 planets were in the sky, and they were all in a line. literally, guys, literally. The planets lined up, literally. So, we went back to his place. The next morning we went out for breakfast. We hugged and kissed goodbye and left. I went on a date, like Monday or Tuesday, I don't remember what it was. And he, somehow, coincidentally, I had to take my mother's car in to work. And he didn't see my car, and he freaked out. He was like, oh my God, she slept with him. Like, I don't want to lose her. So he ended up, calling me and being like, I need to talk to you. Okay, we sat down at a restaurant, and he was like, I don't want to lose you. I'm faced with the fact of losing you. I can't lose you. I'm going to break up with her, and I'm going to see a therapist. So it took a little while to break up because it was like 2 months after they got engaged. And that was just, like, that's really mean. And he needed to, like, introduce his family to the idea. So he, lots of pain, discomfort. So, he started introducing to his family the idea that, I don't really like this about her, I don't really like that about her. And just came to the conclusion within 2 months that he, introduced them, broke them to the idea, and kind of, broke her to it too. Like, he wasn't, anyway, he ended up breaking up with her. And I moved in with him, and we lived together for 3.5 years. And then we broke up. It's funny, like, we were gonna break up. I was gonna leave just before COVID hit. And because of COVID, I couldn't go to where I'd been planning to go. And he's like, well, obviously you're gonna stay here. And we had another 7 months together. And I'm so grateful for that. We had an apartment, a studio apartment, and we had to stay in it for 7 months. No one else, right? And we still had a great time. We had an awesome time together. So these memories are so visceral. They're so close. They're so, I can picture them so well. It's like they're here. It's like they just happened, or they're happening. Only they're not. They're in the past, and he's married. He was able to get over it, which I get, and I'm really happy. But he always knew that we'd break up. I fooled myself into thinking that we'd figure it out somehow. You know, and the point is, I am suffering, but I'm dealing with it, and I just want to talk about that. Like, I'm tired. I'm tired. I just wept. But like, I think the way to deal with this is, well, no, I know. The way to deal with this is to allow the feelings to happen, to allow the memories and the thoughts and the feelings to happen, and just let them wash over you. And even if it means you're crying and crying and crying and like just wailing, even if that's what has to happen, just don't hold them back. Don't push them away. Just allow them to be and to move through you. That's what I'm doing. And it's scary. I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with this. And I've got work to do. I've got so much work to do. But, yeah, I think that's, I wanted to come out here, and for anybody else out there who's going through a tough time, just allow it to be. It doesn't feel good, but you'll get over it more quickly. You'll deal with it if you allow it to happen. If you push it away or you stuff it down, that's not dealing with it, and it's gonna stay there until you deal with it. And I want to deal with this because I want to be over it. I don't want this anymore. I don't want this feeling anymore. I don't want it. It's awful. So I'm going to let it be there so that it'll go away eventually. Not looking forward to the time it's going to take at all. Yeah. Well, we'll see. One thing I can tell you, though, is that I am grateful for the relationship. So grateful. So grateful for it. It changed my life in so many ways and made me feel... It's like the first time I felt like unconditional love. Like I was loved for being who I was. Because we started out as friends, and I never held anything back because there were no stakes. So I was just who I was, and he loved me for that. And that gave me something really special. It showed me so much. It taught me about being loved for who I am, and oh man, it taught me so much. That relationship taught me so much, and like how I'm never gonna let another man treat me any less than the way he treated me, which is gonna be tough to find. But again, I'm not gonna even think about. I don't even want a partner until I am good here on my own, and I don't have holes to fill that I want to fill with somebody else. I don't want that to be. I don't want to be attached to somebody's energy because I need it to fill my own. I want my energy to be. I want to be whole. I want to be whole before I get into another relationship. Oh God, I loved him so much. And he loved me so much, you know, and I know I made his life a better place. I opened it up. his world is much wider now because of me. And but for me, there's so much he gave me. I wrote down a list before we like broke up. I wrote down like this like 2-page list of all the things that the relationship had done for me, and I'm sure I missed some. But I gave it to him, and he was so excited about it. He's like, "This is something I'm gonna keep." And I'm like, "Okay." Like, I would hope you would. But now I'm thinking, man, like he must have gotten rid of it. You can't keep that when you get engaged and marry someone else. You know, we left it like, I hope so much one day that we can be friends, because he's so awesome, and I do love him so much. We don't want to be out of each other's lives, but like we can't be in each other's lives. You know, and who knows how he's gonna feel about it later on, and who knows if the wife would even allow it, because I certainly wouldn't. Would you? Like, oh, hey honey, this is the woman I would have married if I could have. Instead, you're my consolation prize. Not that he would feel that way, you know, anymore, but like, I would have married her if I had the choice. So I had to break up with her and then marry you because my mother made me. But, and I'm grateful that that's not how he feels. I can see in the pictures that he's very happy. I can see that he's happy. And I know that they're in love. And that's what I wanted. That's what I prayed for. There's a part of me that doesn't want it. Not gonna lie. There is a little part of me that's like, not that it wants him to be miserable, but doesn't want him to forget me. Wants him to want me over her. You know? Or to have not gotten married and come back, but he's not. Even though he did so many times. He's married now. But I am grateful for the relationship and everything it taught me. I'm so grateful for it. I'm so grateful for it. Like, there's nothing I would have changed other than if we could have been together. But given reality, reality being what it was, I would not have changed it for a second. I just wish I could still be in it. You know, I wish I could go back then and enjoy it some more. But it's beautiful, and it's like in this little box, like a little beautifully encrusted jewelry box that's inside of me somewhere. And it's like, oh, and I can take it out and look at it. It's beautiful, and it'll never get tarnished, and it'll always be there. His love for me will always be there. My love for him will always be there. And I'm grateful for it. So even though I'm wailing and keening, I'm still grateful. The universe gave him to me, but she did it in such a way that she knew the way I needed it to be in order for us to be like, yeah, I'm upset, but it would be so much worse if it had gone a different way. You know what I mean? If like it were a sudden thing, or if he, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many different things. The way the universe did it was perfect. She weaned me off of him. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for it all. So even in the depths of despair, a thing isn't beautiful because it's less. That's right, Rama. That's right. So even in the depths of sadness, I want you all to remember that you can always choose to have a great full day.